book friends, it's Michelle here with another video. And you know what? I had such a great time the last time I did this, which is where I took recommendations from my fellow booktubers and did a library haul and read a few of the best books I've read all year, thanks to a few people whose videos I watched on BookTube. So I'm here to say thank you. I'm here to talk about my next group of recommendations that I've got directly from my fellow booktubers, and just talk about the fantastic books that I have planned to read coming up here. So first of all, I want to say a big thank you to Caitlin at Spill the Reads, because she introduced me to Havoc by Christopher Bolin. I don't know how you pronounce his name. Anyway, this one was wild. This was a trippy mind F of a book, and this would be the perfect book club book, because I think every single person who reads this would have a different opinion of it. And yeah, it challenges you as a reader as well as grips you from beginning to end. And yeah, it's thought-provoking. It's crazy. I couldn't believe what was happening in this book. So highly, highly recommend. 5 out of 5 stars. Thank you so much, Caitlin at Spill the Reads, for your recommendation of this. I absolutely loved it. One of my favorites of the year so far. In my last video where I did, a library haul of the books recommended from other booktubers, there was Brat by Gabriel Smith, as recommended by Isabel over at Isabel Reads. I absolutely love that weird book. I liked it so much, I made a dedicated video review of it. Check it out if you're so inclined. I also read The Passengers by John Mars. That was recommended by Suey at Suey's Book Banter. Loved that one as well. A high-paced, high-octane thriller, very futuristic. Check that one out. Check out Suey's and Isabel's channels as well. And I also read a book recommended by Frankie at Frankie's Shelf called Ghost Wall by Sarah Moss. Really unique book. Really enjoyed it. So my booktubing friends never let me down. I feel like you're my go-to people to talk about books with, as well as to get recommendations from. Hence why I'm here making another video about it. So this time, by the way, I'm gonna link the channels of the people I'm talking about in this video in the description. So please do yourself a favor and check out their channels. They all make fantastic recommendations for books and reviews and content. So yes, highly recommend. Now, my latest recommendation comes from a booktuber named Ian Gubelli. That's the name of his channel as well. And I saw him talking about a book called Recursion by Blake Crouch. He claims this is actually one of his very favorite books of all time. I'm down for a sci-fi futuristic thriller that involves technology. I love that. I also loved Blake Crouch's book, Dark Matter. In fact, this is probably one of my very favorite kind of sci-fi-ish books of all time. So I'm pretty excited to read this one. Ian had nothing but good things to say about it, and I'll just give you the premise here, the synopsis. At first, it looks like a disease, an epidemic that spreads through no known means, driving its victims mad with memories of a life they never lived. But the force that's sweeping the world is no pathogen. It's just the first shockwave unleashed by a stunning discovery, and what's in jeopardy is not our minds, but the very fabric of time itself. Wow. That really intrigues me. So really looking forward to picking this one up. Recursion by Blake Crouch. Sounds fantastic. Next up, one of my very favorite booktubers here. She is just lovely. Her name is Becky, and her channel is called Book Reviews with Becky. Recently, I know she's been getting into the books of this author. I'm talking about Anthony Horowitz, and this is Magpie Murders. This book has been around for a while, kind of making the rounds on BookTube, but it was Becky's recommendation that really sold me on this one. It just sounds fantastic. I love a murder mystery, I love a thriller, and this sounds very kind of, very English. I think it takes place in England, but anyhow, I'll just read you a little bit. Editor Susan Ryland has worked with best-selling crime writer Alan Conway for years, so she has no reason to think his latest novel will be much different from his others. Readers love his detective, Atticus Pund, a celebrated solver of crimes in the sleepy English villages of the 1950s. But Conway's latest tale of murder at Pye Hall is not quite what it seems. Yes, there are dead bodies and a host of intriguing suspects, but hidden in the pages of the manuscript lies another story. A tale written between the very words on the page, telling the real-life jealousy, greed, ruthless ambition, and murder. I love that. What more can you say? This sounds like a fantastic kind of a story within a story. I love that when, you know, you have a book that's got a book that's, you know, there's all kind of like loose threads going on and you have to, you know, figure out what's going on with the people in the book. So yeah, with Becky's endorsement, this is a for sure read that can't wait to get into. So thanks to Becky at Book Reviews with Becky. Magpie Murders by Alan Horowitz. Next up, and this one got another glowing review, someone on BookTube who I really enjoy. The channel is The First Chapter. His name is Chris, fabulous channel. And the book that he recently was talking about was Project Hail Mary by Andy Weir. Now, I wasn't sure. I've been resisting picking this one up just because I did not enjoy The Martian, also by Andy Weir. I found that one pretty boring and I DNF'd it. I tried to get into it and couldn't. Didn't watch the movie, wasn't interested. So from the sounds of it, this one is a lot different. I've seen people commenting that they didn't like The Martian, but they loved this one. So with Chris's glowing endorsement, I had to pick this one up. In this book, we are following Ryland Grace, the sole survivor on a desperate last chance mission, and if he fails, humanity and Earth itself will perish. Right off the hop, we have high stakes. Except that right now, he doesn't know that. He can't even remember his own name, let alone the nature of his assignment or how to complete it. All he knows is that he's been asleep for a very long time and he's just been awakened to find himself millions of miles from home with nothing but 2 corpses for company. Wow. Like, to me, deep space, the idea of going to space is absolutely terrifying. And yeah, I think I'm going to really enjoy this one. It sounds like a fantastic read, and thank you so much, Chris, at The First Chapter. Awesome. Can't wait to read this one. So those are the 3 that were recently recommended by booktubers whose channels I really enjoy and really respect their opinions and value their recommendations. So thank you, everybody. And this brings me to the next buddy read that I'm going to be doing with Isabel at Isabel Reads and Dee from The Reading Room. And the book that we have selected that Dee recommended to us was All Fours by Miranda July. This one sounds very strange. I know it's kind of polarizing. I've heard like really glowing reviews, and I've also heard of people that didn't really care for it. So I can't wait to dive in and read this one. I've read a couple pages and it's very different from anything I've read before. And from the sounds of it, we follow a woman who decides to impromptu take a road trip and leave her husband, and she gets involved in some kind of experimentation sexually, and yeah, she goes on a journey. So this sounds weird, it sounds intense, and I think it'll make a great buddy read. I'm sure we will have a lot to talk about after we read this one. Supposedly I suggested we read July in July, so yeah, who knows whenever we'll finish this, but we'll get to it sometime this summer, and I can't wait. Thanks so much to Dee at the Reading Room for picking this one for us. Great selection. This brings me to the last book that I am looking forward to reading in the future. I picked it up and it wasn't recommended by a fellow booktuber, but it appealed to me. I saw it and I thought, okay, I love that author's last book that I read, so I have to read this. The book I'm talking about is Speak to Me of Home by Janine Cummings. Now, when I read her book, American Dirt, back in 2020, I absolutely loved it. I could not stop turning pages. I think I read it in one sitting. Like, I flew through that book, loved it. I'm hoping I'll love this one. She likes to write big, sweeping, epic, like family drama type books, and I love the multi-generational stories. I love the back and forth in periods of time, different perspectives, multiple POVs. To me, that just moves the action along at a really great pace. So I'll just tell you a bit about this one. It's about the theme of home. Like, what does it mean to call a place home? On her wedding day in San Juan, Puerto Rico in 1968, Rafaela Acua y Dobon marries Peter Brennan Jr. in a blaze of optimism. She has no way of knowing the fleet of disappointments that will be unleashed when she uproots her young family to start over in the American Midwest. So we have an immigrant story, which I also love. In the 1980s, against the backdrop of her mother's isolation in St. Louis, Missouri, Rafaela's daughter Ruth, wanting only to belong, lets go of her language, habits, and memories. Decades later, when Ruth's own daughter, Daisy, returns to San Juan, her mother and grandmother begin to reflect on the choices that have come to define their lives. Then a hurricane happens. A hurricane that did ravage the island in 2023, leaving Daisy critically injured. Rafaela and Ruth return to the city where their story began. So it sounds like there's a lot going on in here. Really high stakes. Really compelling family drama. I cannot wait to read this. Janine Cummings just has a lovely way with words that I find really addicting. She knows how to really tell a great story. So yeah, can't wait to read this. The Story of Home by Speak to Me of Home. Why do I have problems like this? Speak to Me of Home by Janine Cummings. So there you have it. All Fours by Miranda July, as recommended by Dee at the Reading Room. Project Hail Mary, as recommended by Chris at the first chapter. The Magpie Murders by Andy Horowitz, as recommended by Becky at Book Reviews with Becky. Recursion by Blake Crouch, recommended by Ian Gubelli. And again, thank you, Caitlin, for recommending this one. This was such a fantastic read. I'm still thinking about this. Bizarre, twisty, riveting. It's got everything in it. So everybody, if you want to read a book like you've never read before, pick this one up. Thank you to Kaylin at Spill the Reads. And let me know, as usual, if you have read any of these books, if you're planning to read any of these books. And like I said, please check out the channels of the booktubers that I mentioned in this video. Thanks as always for watching. See you in the next one. Bye.